I hate doing this every week. I hate it because
I'm going to do it all season long until they lose.
Yes, I probably will until they have a ranked win. I probably will. I am a Michael Penix Jr. homer. I hate talking crap about Michael Penix. I really, really do. I kind of wish I'm such a Michael Penix homer that when Madden comes out next year, I'm probably going to be with the Saints and I'm going to trade for Michael Penix Jr. on the spot. I'll trade a first-round pick. I don't care. That's how much of a homer I am for Michael Penix Jr. But, however, Joe, you talked about yesterday, we got to turn on the film. So you know what I did? I was like, look, I am going to give Washington every benefit of the doubt because I knew that you were going to have them in your top 5. I knew it was coming. So at 7 a.m. this morning, I turned on said film. Offensively, they look great. You're not going to really get anything from me other than I do think that they have a real issue at tackle. I mean, when you got Cal beating up your tackles, I do think that that's an issue, okay? But offensively, I think you can make the argument they're the best offense in the country, okay?
They are the best offense in the country.
Well, I agree, but let me say it like this. I would tolerate a debate with 5 other teams. I would tolerate that debate, okay? Just because you're throwing it around everywhere doesn't mean you're the best offense. Because you could throw it around 50 times a game and put up as much stats as you want. Doesn't make you the best overall offense. You had 4 Pac-12 teams. They're going to cannibalize themselves because they're going to all play each other. Here's the problem that I have with Washington. I watched the film because LSU has Auburn coming up in a couple of weeks. So I watched that Auburn film against Cal. Cal is horrible. They are so bad. They made 2 quarterbacks in Peyton Thorne and Robbie Ashford look somewhat decent, Joe. And we saw what they did this past week versus A&M. When I turn on that Washington film, everybody wants to continue to tell me about their defense. Bullshit. The intercept, if you go box score deep diving on Washington, sounds fantastic. You can do that because Cal threw 4 picks and you can't take it away. But those picks are not created equally. One, a receiver hits him in his chest, it bounces up, a Washington defender's right there. Then another one, the receiver stops running the route, that goes another pick. Cal's not a good football team, but here's the truth. That secondary got lit up by a below-average wide receiver unit. The crossing routes and everything going on in that game, they got beat up. They started the game off with 2 scores. One, I think, was the kick return or punt return for a touchdown. Then there was a pick 6, and they were up 14-0. That defensive secondary, if you go up against Marvin Harrison Jr., Malik Neighbors, name another really good wide receiver. Even if they had to play Bama for whatever reason, Jermaine Burton, they are going to get absolutely lit up. I promise you this. Joe, they're getting lit up by Cal.
It's one game. I can't. They scored 59 points and won by over 20 points. This is why I don't mean to cut you off, but this is why I don't get this. They still won by a ton.
The Auburn team, though, holding Cal to 3 points at home.
You get upset at me when I do the transitive property. So why are you suddenly doing it?
Cal plays Auburn, gets a field goal, then they play Washington at home, then they play Washington on the road and start kicking some defensive ass, and I'm not supposed to. How is that transitive property?
Look, all I'm going to say is I feel like every week with Washington, I feel like you try to come with a different angle on why they don't belong where they're ranked.
It's defensively.
It's fine if you don't like them. Like, I get it. You want a more well-rounded team, but they are really well-rounded. They haven't played anyone. I will concede that. They have not played anyone
if they have, then you should have Texas ahead of them.
I just think that if I showed up with Washington versus Texas, Washington wins that football game. I have seen enough, and I've broken down the all-22. I have evaluated multiple players on this Washington team. I really dove in on that Washington-Michigan State film because that wasn't ass-whooping the game that they had against them.
Okay, now go do Cal and tell me why guys are running wide open.
look, you're not going to be perfect every single game to still win by over 25 points and to put 59 on the board. And 13 of those points were scored in the fourth quarter when the starters were out of the game. Like,
okay, so hold on one second. 2019 LSU, you've admitted, is the best overall team that we've ever seen, right?
Yes.
After they played Alabama and Burrow, who's going tonight, by the way, and won, they let John Rice Plumlee and Ole Miss run for almost 400 yards on them and that defense. It was a bugaboo all the way up until Texas A&M. It almost got them beat a couple times. But you know what it took? A fantastic offensive effort every single week. Now, can they do that? Yes, but it does not stop the fact that they can go up against a team like, Joe, if Washington USC play today,
Washington beats USC. Why? Washington looked like shit against Arizona State last week. So, like,
Caleb Williams is going to – it's not – they're going to, without a shadow of a doubt, Caleb Williams is going to put up 400 plus, probably go for 450 and 4 scores.
You're completely – that Washington defense is not as bad as you think it is. They had one game where they put up
arguably
30 points that they gave up.
Played against, you had dudes running wide open. And we're talking about Cal, Joe. If we're evaluating from what we've seen so far, you can convince me that Texas – go ahead.
All I'm gonna say is that here's the problem with this. You're looking too deep into a game against Cal. I'm evaluating what they've done the whole season.
What do you want me to go against Michigan State when their coach is having consensual phone sex allegedly, and they have all those things going on? Joe, that game should not be evaluated, and you know that. Boise State, what did you say against Boise State in the first half? Oh, why does Boise State have dudes running wide ass open? Do you want me to break that one down too?
They still smoked them. Washington is a really good football team.
But, Joe, if you have a better overall team going against them, you cannot have them at 5 when they have not answered the bell defensively. They have played subpar teams, and you know it.
They have it. I'm not going to sit here and admit that and try to make excuses for their opponents. I just think that sometimes when you play bad teams, you're not going to be perfect all the time. Yes, there's going to be instances in the end of the game where you give up 2 touchdowns to make the score look better than it was. I don't really dig into what the score was against Cal. Yes, it's not great that they gave up 30-something points, but they're still a really explosive offense, and their defensive line and linebackers get after people. Yes, there are some secondary concerns, but I stand by the fact that if they go up against Texas right now, which is the real team that's in the debate for who belongs at 5, is it Texas or is it Washington? And between those two teams,
there's no way that you can put Texas behind them after the schedule that they've had.
I'm going off of the eye test. We're only 4 weeks into the season. I am more of an eye test person than I am a resume person.
If you're not a resume person, then
I'm not. I'm really not a resume person. Unless you have losses, if we have all these undefeated teams, I'm going off of how they've looked in the games when I've watched them. What stands out and what is going to help them win on a weekly basis? Texas played great against Alabama. That's an awesome win. They moved up so far. I respect them, and I think that they're going to beat Kansas this week, and I think that they're going to win the Big 12. But at the same time, they allowed, 24 points to Jalen Milroe, a team that they should have blown out if there was that much of a separation between the two of them, as some people have illustrated.
Okay, well, then you can't say the same for Florida State then. Then Florida State should have gone into Howard's Rock and blown out Clemson. It happens. No. And then you said the same. Well, it happens with Washington.
Clemson's better than Alabama. I think that Clemson is better than Alabama right now, but they're not going to be ranked because they have 2 losses.
I'm not going to argue that point because I do think that that's somewhat interesting.